April 2nd, today, marks World Autism Awareness Day. It is a day set aside to speak out against discrimination and celebrate the diversity of our global community in a bid to strengthen the commitment to the full inclusion and participation of people with autism. As part of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, themed to leave no one behind, this year's observance underscores the importance of affordable assistive technologies to support people with autism to live independent lives and indeed to exercise their basic human rights. Joining us now in the studio is Bolanle Adewole, the director of the Learning Place Center. Joining us now. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And I know the color of the day. I'm very fine, thank you. The color of the day is blue.
Yes,
I should have had my own.
We always light it up blue on the 2nd of April for children with autism.
Most definitely. Now we understand that there are no less than 70 million people living with autism.
That is correct.
And out of that figure, we have about 80% of that in developing countries, including Nigeria. Now, awareness of autism spectrum disorder is increasing, but we still have this increase in the number of diagnoses going up unabated.
Yes. Yes, so you find that there are more diagnoses, definitely. There's more awareness these days, but even at that, you find that there is no way to prevent it. There's no way, because autism is inherent. It's something, it's a neurological brain disorder. So it's something that the child is born with, and once they come out, you just have to find a way to manage it. So as much as it's growing, there's definitely, there's an explosion of children with autism. Now, we keep getting more and more information of more people, and the prevalence is massive. Even the Children's Development Center in the United States rates it at 1 in 66 children. On every 66 children has autism, and they just have to find a way to give intervention to everybody.
And now we understand that this is a spectrum disorder, so at different stages you have different conditions manifesting themselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we find out that 1 in 4 boys have found to have autism, and this is much more predominant with boys than girls.
It is, yes.
And well, people have certain beliefs or their own little ideologies towards that effect. But to what extent should we also start correcting the narratives and stop leaving it to just
I think the first thing is to know the signs. So once you know the signs, and to know that there is definitely there are interventions that can make a difference. So once you know that, you find that it's not a stigma, it's not something you should hide or sweep under the carpet. It's something you deal with, knowing that there's support out there, knowing that there's centers to go to, knowing that there's intervention. There are various types of intervention that you can give to a person living with autism. And yes, the boys more than the girls, but even the boys, once you know the signs typically will be, it's a triad of disorders. So it's language and communication. There's a deficiency in that. There is also social skills, so lack of social skills. So a person with autism will behave inappropriately in a social setting. So some of them can monopolize conversation for those that can talk. Those that can't talk just behave in a way that you call weird, but it's not really them being weird. It's them manifesting because they have some sensory disorders. And then the third one, which is the biggest one in autism, will be them just not communicating. So they're there with you, not doing what you do, they're just behaving. And then they have repetitive stereotypic behavior. So they're flapping, just doing things that are odd. So once you know that, you put an intervention in place. Once there's an intervention, you find them being highly functional. You get some of them that would come up to live alone. They come to become, recently, just in the last week in the United States, the first female lawyer with autism was she was celebrated. So they can actually do things that regular and typically developing people would do, but you have to put in the appropriate intervention to be able to achieve this. So autism is not something that one has and just feels, oh, this is the end of the world, because there is a lot of promise. They show positive signs. There's some of them that have skills. They're highly functional in other ways that you and I are not. There's the calendar calculating savant. They tell you, all you need to tell them is July 8th, 1970, and they tell you what day that was in an instant. I can't do that. I don't know if you can. You know, so you just get a lot of skills that they can do. They're artsy, they're highly gifted in computer skills. Some of them can calculate way back. You know, so they
now,
have
just to button here, you just made mention of skills, and now today's theme, this year's theme for today is that we are supposed to have assistive technologies, active participation, and the focus is to ensure that we have access to affordable services, assistive technologies as a prerequisite for people with ASD, so that they can exercise their human rights and fully have lives that matter, and then be fully integrated in the society. To what extent is this making meaning to everyone?
You and I need the technology. That we're all living on technology now, whether we like it or not. You know, we're forced to. So they also definitely need to be on the technology. But in this environment, I don't know that we have it accessible the way you would have it in developed nations. You know, so it's an area where I find that as much as it is a need, it's still like a struggle for us here in this environment in Nigeria to be able to put these things in place. But the minute we start putting that in place, because a lot of them are, they like to just do things on the computer, and they're a bit robotic in what they do. So when you find that, they're able to achieve more with all this technology in place. So it's important to have technology for them and just put things around them to be able to help them, to stimulate them, to bring out the best in them and get them to function in the way they should.
Hopefully this resource wouldn't be just one that is centered within the urban centers or just for the select rich few.
It should go to the grassroots.
Exactly.
It should go to the grassroots.
And Bolanle, adding to that as well, we are wrapping up conversations for the lack of time. Now quickly, we know the research in developing areas, we understand there is no cure, but it helps to manage this condition. But to what extent do you now expect Nigeria to be a frontliner when we are talking about managing conditions of ASD? Quickly in 30 seconds.
We've gotten better, and the way to manage it is just give them the appropriate intervention. There's speech therapy, there's occupational therapy, there's floor time, there are loads of different therapy that you put in place for them to be able to get them to function. And once those things are in place, you get them functioning as best as they can.
Thank you very much for your time. We've been speaking with Bolanle Adewole, the director of the place, the Learn and Play Center. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and hopefully we have a ray of light as you wear blue across the nation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for
your
having
time.
me. Yes.